I don't know, man. Hisuian Braviary makes absolutely no sense. I think it's actually the worst designed competitive Pokemon ever. And we can see that with the stats. It just makes me think, was there an error? Like, now I'm actually doubting all of my other moveset guides, even though it seems like the stats are updated. There's no way the stats are updated if we have a Pokemon with 110 hit points, 70 defense, 70 special defense, 65 speed, and 112 special attack. Like, this is an error, right? It's supposed to be 112 speed, 110 special attack, and then we still don't really have a usable Pokemon. Abilities. Tinted Lens. It's actually good. We see that being pretty busted on low kicks and some other Pokemon potentially. Sheer Force. A really good ability that we actually don't see enough of. And the reason we don't really see it is that it's hard to balance on modern Pokemon. Like, an old, outdated, power crept Pokemon with Sheer Force can, like, find a way to maybe scrap it out in modern Pokemon a little bit, but you put this on, like, a new boy, and it's just going to be potentially way too strong. So, yeah, we actually have, like, some pieces, not really, because that 65 speed is just atrocious. And then we get into the signature move, Esper Wing. 100% chance to raise the user's speed by 1. Okay, we have moves like that, but they are going to be a lot less base power. So another weird thing we've seen with modern Pokemon a lot in Generation 9 as well as Pokemon Legends is that it takes like effects and other moves and just kind of elevates it a little bit. Like with King Gambit, where other accuracy bypassing moves have 60 base power, Kowtow Cleave has 85. Palafin, for example, Jet Punch is just Aqua Jet, but 60 base power instead of 40. So we get some kind of like power creep signature move that really synergizes with the Pokemon, and Esper Wing has that, where it's like, alright, we got Flame Charge and Trailblaze, but on an 80 base power move is actually going to be like usable and potentially threatening. Problem. Why do we have Sheer Force? Why does Sheer Force exist on this Pokemon when it negates the effect of Esper Wing? And there's no, like, special interaction or anything. I went on Bulbapedia to check. Yeah, Esper Wing is affected by Sheer Force. So we get the bonus damage. That's cool. But this is not a move. This move does not exist. You know why? Oh, we got a stronger one in Psychic. Psychic is affected by Sheer Force. This Pokemon is the perfect representation of Pokemon Legends as a whole. Poorly designed, doesn't make any sense, and doesn't really seem like there was any quality assurance anywhere. Also, the designs are awful. Hisuian Arcanine is just a downgrade. It's waste of so much potential of an alternative regional variant form of Arcanine, or like a Mega Evolution or an Evolution. We didn't get anything that cool. We got mud. We got the same thing that just looked like it rolled around mud and didn't become interesting in any way. And a lot of the other designs are just some of the worst designs we've ever seen in Pokemon. Hisuian Braviary, it doesn't look remarkable in any way, and then it just doesn't make any sense. Like, alright, Tinted Lens Esper Wing, but now our speed is too low to even matter. And then we have to go Timid Nature, so that means we are a neutral 112 special attacking Pokemon that has no speed whatsoever. And even if we use Esper Wing once, we're not outspeeding anything. 65 isn't a real speed tier. At +2, we barely outspeed Scarf Chomp, which means a 105 speed Pokemon or faster that's finding a +1 either through a Scarf or some kind of boosting move just beats us. And then there's also like weird stuff going on. Like, we've seen Scarf Greninja in the past. I'm pretty sure there was actually some Scarf Cinderace going on, and now we're seeing like booster energy on even Pokemon like Iron Bundle just to make sure it's the fastest Pokemon to ever exist. So you have to get 2 turns of setup just for Iron Bundle to have more damage and more speed than you. I guess it's alright because you don't have any resisted hits. Also, Psychic Flying, going to be weak to a lot. Rock, Ghost, Electric, Ice, and Dark. Ghost, Electric, Ice, and Dark being pretty problematic moves to have to deal with. And then Flying special attackers, oh man, these guys struggle because you have the Air Slash, but that's low base power. And then Hurricane has a very high chance of missing, so I mean, like, you have to go Tinted Lens, Esper Wing to barely not outspeed things after 2 uses if you're somehow alive. So there's even worlds where it's like, okay, we go Focus Sash, and then we try to like 2-shot things with a 112, no boosting whatsoever. Like, we don't have the Modest Nature, we don't have an item, we don't have an ability effectively, because then we remove our Esper Wing effect. So like, this Pokemon wouldn't even last in Generation 5. And then if we go Sheer Force, it's like, alright, our Hurricane is kind of threatening if it lands, but again, there's just way better Pokemon and power and other things to find. And if this speed was any anything else, anything higher and usable, that's like, all right, we got a Life Orb Sheer Force user coming into play. That's going to get kind of neat. No, just no viability whatsoever. The 110 hit points on the 70s is effectively a waste, and then you just still find neutral KOs, or you get super effective by everything in the game. Is there a chance there's a moveset here? Sure. We go Agility, and then we have Sheer Force, and then we get a small amount of damage. Probably still need the Focus Sash, unless, I don't know, we mess around with speed tiers too much, and then now we're running Psychic Sheer Force, as we talked about, and it's like, boom, you got that, you find a coverage move. Air Slash, I don't know, man. Air Slash is kind of weird, because like that 5% accuracy actually screws you over from time to time. That base power is nothing, so I mean, like, you need an Air Slash Psychic combo on a 30% chance after you've already, like, set up and you're just sitting at 1 hit points. And you can't flinch anyway because of Sheer Force, so really the only way this Pokemon works is if you get a free Agility turn, and then you go, like, Life Orb, Sheer Force, Psychic on everything. Really, Air Slash only works in Dynamax or on Togekiss because it can get a 60% chance to flinch. After that, it's kind of a sketchy move. Oh, also Fan Rotom. Those are the only viable uses for Air Slash. And then, like, what other moves do we have? We have Terastallization. And then I'm trying to think, is there any kind of other weird way to put together a moveset? 83 attack means those physical options don't really work or make any sense. We have Heat Wave because... So after all that, we're just a worse Pidgeot, and it really says something when Mega Pidgeot didn't even get play, so that's a thing. Do we have any just, like, nonsense? No Encore, just kind of chilling around. Do we have Taunt? No Taunt, so we can't, like, wall break, or not wall break, but, like, anti-setup, and then set up ourselves. And again, there's just better Taunt Pokemon out there, or Encore, or anything else. It's like doubles, Tailwind, there's better everything. That's what I mean, like, we have a Pokemon that was updated off of just a not used Pokemon either. Like, Braviary, I think you would slightly see it from time to time because it could Sheer Force, because it could Defiant, because it could Wall Break. But on higher stats, how is the regional variant just worse in every way? How's that even possible? Modern Pokemon design doesn't make any sense. Like, Golden Go Dondozo exist. They give Iron Bundle Encore and just completely screw that up. Garganacl, all these other Pokemon, like, exist. And then you can see with other, like, Generation 8, Generation 9 Pokemon, it's like, whoa. We can't make this thing the most used Pokemon ever, so we're going to have to dial it back to being just not viable whatsoever. So that's what upsets me the most. I want to see more consistency. I want to see buffs to older Pokemon to make them viable. I want to see new Pokemon not be stupid overpowered. And it's not like a League of Legends philosophy where people are like, but you have to make the new Pokemon overpowered so people buy the game. No, people buy the game for the new Pokemon, and they're going to play with them regardless. And as we've seen with, like, a lot of generations, like, oh, well, 80% of the new Pokemon aren't even competitively viable because the other 20% just overshadow them so hard. So it's careless. And that's how I just describe Pokemon Legends Arceus. Just so careless. And another thing that gets me is that I've done movesets for every Pokemon. I've revisited Pokemon. I've revisited older Pokemon. There's going to be, like, some smartass in the comments like, well, he didn't do a moveset for this Pokemon. At that point, it's a joke or something deliberate. Like, I guess I'm just never touching Obstagoon at this point. And also, I'm going to tell you guys right now, there is absolutely no way I'm going to acknowledge whatever I deleted did not exist. Like, I don't know what that was, so that's not happening. And then what I'm saying is, like, I've seen all this, so it's like, yeah, you go back to an older generation, it's like, yeah, that Pokemon just is not viable. Who's ever going to use Poliwrath? You know, I look at that and you try to make something happen for it and just so outdated. But then when you make, like, a Generation 1, Generation 2 power Pokemon that was never intended to have, like, competitive things in it in modern Pokemon, it just doesn't feel right. And even then, like, Dex Filler, I don't like that you just can't have any ability to kind of make a Pokemon interesting or creative, just even from Dex Filler. Like, it should be every Pokemon has viability. That was the philosophy that helped launch this channel. In Pokemon X and Y in Generation 6, you could actually do something with Poliwrath. You could make a cheesy Golduck strategy or use something from Generation 2. But now it's like the power creep of the upper end has gotten so insane, and I think, like, Generation 5 effectively ruined the possibility for, like, a lot of freedom in competitive Pokemon, and Generation 6 made it better, and then Generation 7 I'd consider kind of neutral even though Toxapex existed, and also the Tapus, and then, like, it's just gotten worse from there. So it's like, it's out of control. So I mean, like, why deliberately make something useless at this point if you've already committed to just, like, invalidating older Pokemon and then not giving them buffs like we saw in Generation 7? is silly. There we go. There's the Rant I was holding back for Hisuian Arcanine, but with this, like, that's unacceptable, man.